So Albert Einstein said, the world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. I'm Coach Bobby Brown with Sober Life Right. What I do is I help people live their most amazing lives completely free from drugs and alcohol. And I do this through one-on-one coaching, through videos, hopefully someday speaking events. I am living an amazing life. And I've been doing it that way since July 22nd, 2021. I am a man in long-term recovery from a severe substance use disorder, total remission. I'm also a recovered alcoholic and a recovered drug addict. So that's kind of where I come from. That's where my background comes from. I've been going through the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. This is a top 5 book for me. I recommend that you check this book out. There's a link in my description for you to go to Amazon and get it. I am an Amazon affiliate. It helps me if you purchase a book to me. So if you like me, please buy the book here. But either way, just get the book. This is one of my favorite gifts to give to people. Kind of talk through, get us up to where we're at in this book. So we started out with taking 100% responsibility for our life. So we said, okay, look, no more blaming others. We're going to go on the basis that, you know, the choices that I make on a daily basis are going to affect my outcomes. I can't control anything in the environment, but I can control how I look at things, how I think about things, what my actions are. Then we got real clear on why we're here. You know, we looked at things like purpose and kind of knowing exactly what it is we want. Then we built this vision for our life. You know, what do we actually want? What do you want your life to look like? You know, if you're in recovery, you know, okay, you made a decision to quit using, but what do you want your life after that to look like? There's obviously something that happened that caused you to say, okay, well, what I'm doing isn't working. Well, now you have to get real clear on, like, okay, well, what do you want this life to look like? Because it can look a lot of different ways. From there, we talked about some belief systems. You know, one, you have to believe it's possible. If you don't believe that you can have a life free from drugs and alcohol, you're probably not going to have that life. And then we talk about believing in ourselves, believing that we have what it is and what's inside it. Now we get into kind of part of the how we do this. Jack goes in the book and he talks about some stuff that's really kind of I don't know if it's over my head as much as it's something that I don't know if it's just the best way for me to kind of rationalize it or make it logically make sense. But he talks a lot about vibrations and energy. And I'm not discounting these things. I'm not saying like these don't exist. But he talks about how, like, even our thoughts have energy, and how science, you know, we've done experiments, we've seen how, you know, thought experiments to see how this energy actually can interact and affect the outside world. And I think that's all great. The idea that, like, okay, hey, everything's connected. There's these studies that, you know, thoughts can be sent across thousands of miles. The energy from one molecule here can affect something on the opposite side of the universe here. And it all makes sense to me, I guess, from like a big picture standpoint. Is it super helpful to me? I mean, no, other than it reinforces this idea that, okay, what I think matters. I am more of a practical kind of person. I've done some study of this stuff called NLP. It's neuro-linguistic programming. It's all about how the subconscious mind is basically running our lives for the most part. We've got all this information that we take in, and like these billion bits of data every minute, and a very small portion of that is covered by our conscious mind. You know, we don't have to think about breathing or walking or tying our shoes, like all these little things, getting dressed, all these things we do on a daily basis, basically do on autopilot. We've done them so many times, we don't require any kind of thought. And unfortunately, because of that, if we've had negative ways of coping with things in the past, say, hey, I'm sad and lonely, so I'm going to use drugs, for instance, then we don't even think about it. Like, it just happens. We talk about, in recovery, we talk about things like triggers, you know, oh, well, I saw a certain thing or hung around a certain person. Well, that's your subconscious mind basically taking control because you're not making any conscious effort to direct it in another way. So, lots of scripture talks about how powerful our thoughts are, and if we just believe things have happened, there's verses talk about praying for things and believing that it's done, and then by that it will be done for you. So it kind of supports this idea of the law of attraction. How do I apply it in my daily life? I think that's more important for me, because I think it touches on what I do as a coach. For me, it meant if I want certain types of things in my life, then I have to focus on the area that I can control, which is me. If I want to stay clean and sober, I should probably do what clean and sober people do. Well, what are some of the things that clean and sober people do? Well, when they're early on, they stop putting substances in their body. People that were using high, intense sedative or intense stimulants, like I am an ex-IV methamphetamine user. Methamphetamine does things to the brain that cause it to basically shut down the decision-making part of your brain. It causes you to lose impulse control part of your brain. They've done brain scans where they've seen see the brain damage. You can see where it's just like there's these dead areas on people that have been doing long-term methamphetamine like I was. And so one of the things that people that get off methamphetamine do is they go to jail. So that's what I did. Was it intentional? No. Was my subconscious mind possibly creating scenarios that would end up with me in jail? Well, quite possibly, if I really look at it that way. And they go to jail because that's one of the few ways that they can be separated from the drug long enough for the chemical effects to physically heal. The brain starts to heal for a little while. And now those parts of the brain that affect your decision-making start working again. The parts that affect impulse control start working again. Now you can suddenly say no when that immediate impulse says, hey, I need to change the way I feel. I need a dopamine spike. I need to go get dope right now. But then there's other things that people that stay sober do. One of them is they live around other sober people. They eliminate people that are using drugs from their life. So I lived in sober living for a long period of time, short period of time, I guess. Probably 6-8 months on a couple of different occasions after getting clean. I put myself in situations where I was around a lot of sober people. They build sober communities. So I joined AA, I joined NA. I started going to meetings where I was around like-minded people that were staying sober, so I could see how they worked, I could see how they lived, I could see how they acted. I started following these programs. I started reading and watching different things. I started reading about addiction and about disease, and I started reading about that. You can apply this to other areas of your life. You can, for me, I believe a huge part of staying sober, and I'm gonna take a second and just kind of touch on what my opinion of what a recovery coach is, because it is the type of coaching I do. A recovery coach is not somebody that treats the disease of addiction. Okay. In fact, a lot of like the Texas certification, the RSPS, it's kind of like the catch-all that kind of covers what a recovery coach is. Although that's not, in my opinion, not really a recovery coach. It's a recovery support peer specialist. The name kind of tells what it is. Not the same thing as coaching, in my opinion. But it basically talks about how they don't treat disease. They're not a counselor. They are not a sponsor. It's not just some paid sponsor. A role of a coach is to do a couple of things. One, to help people come up with plans. Okay, you want to stay sober, you're not sure how, what that's going to involve. You don't want it to involve jail. Well, there are some other ways that you can do that. And I understand the ways. I know what good recovery looks like. I've coached over 1,000 people in all different areas of their recovery, of early recovery. Not the same plan doesn't work for everybody. It's a very, very self-centered. Everybody's got a different background, different things that they need, different levels of addiction, how bad their substance use disorder is. Being able to identify those things is really, really important. They are a resource broker. They have to know where to find the help. So like all these other things, these therapists, these outpatient programs, these rehabs, being able to know about different pathways to recovery, what different meetings, what they look like. You got to have a network of places to be able to help people get to. You got to understand things like, hey, insurance, and you got to understand things like some of the things that addicts have trouble with, legal problems, how to work with probation, how to talk to judges, how to advocate. Advocacy is a big one. A coach is somebody that's been there that can kind of go in and stick up for you and kind of advocate for the fact that like you are not, if you're dealing from a substance use disorder, you're not a bad person. You're somebody who's sick. It's been recognized as an illness for 100 years. It's in the DSM-5. It's got diagnosable conditions, okay? And there's absolutely treatment. I'm here to tell you, I am in sustained remission from my substance use disorder. I started out on July 21st, 2021. I had 11 out of 11 symptoms in the DSM-5. Today, it's been over 3 years since I've had any. I've got 0 symptoms of the substance use disorder. I am considered in a sustained remission from my substance use disorder, no different than if I had the C word. All right, I've done the treatment. I still had to make life changes. I have to do different things. And I do those things. I do them on a daily basis. And part of that is being vocal about recovery. But I also believe just living an amazing life. I am building a life that is so good that it would be crazy for me to touch drugs again. There's nothing that I used to drink or use drugs for that I don't do today without. I've gone through the uncomfortable times. I've gone through the periods of being bad at stuff until I'm good at them. I talk to anybody. I'll go anywhere I want. I'll have fun doing things that I love to do. My life is filled with gratitude. I wake up with a smile on my face. I'm close to God. My relationship with my family is great. I talk to women. I have these sort of things going on. Like I have good relationships. I have an amazing community around me. If this is something that you want and you feel like I can help you with, then please reach out to me. I'm here. My purpose is to live an amazing life free from drugs and alcohol, but also to help others do the same thing. And if you feel like I can help you, then take that step and just reach out and let's talk. That's what I'm here to do. So, thanks.